very concerned with the operations being carried out on Earth. Problems had begun to develop. One involved the shipment of raw materials. The collective required all raw materials taken from the Earth zone to be sent back for redistribution throughout the collective. On Earth, there was a very ambitious member of a certain royal family. For the sake of convenience, we will refer to him by the earth-given name, the name he is known by even to this day. That name is Satan, your very own quote-unquote devil. Because of certain difficulties that have arisen on Earth many years before, the Earth had been divided up among the different families. Satan controlled a large section of Earth and had established very close personal allegiances with certain other family members. The result was that on Earth, there were two factions in existence. The faction under the leadership of Satan began to keep more and more of the raw materials for their own projects. They needed them to expand their operations throughout the solar system. These included facilities on Mars, Venus, the Moon, asteroid belt, and several large orbital facilities. The collective noticed the decreasing amounts of exports from Earth and became worried. They sent a delegation to Earth to determine the nature of the problem. What they found caused them considerable dismay. Satan and his faction had grown very powerful thanks to the abundance of raw materials found. But what really disturbed the collective delegation were two things. The first is that Satan had grown into political power on the earth. His control crossed the normal protocol boundaries between the families. He was acting like he was the head of a separate little empire. This alarmed the collective greatly. The second thing was that of the Elohim slaves that had been created by the Doma. Development had continued on their genetic structure, and models had been produced that were virtually identical to Ankh themselves. The collective saw this as going too far. They saw it as an abomination of nature. Imagine their horror at discovering that the Ankh who were here on Earth had actually begun to mate with the Elohims. Genesis 6:1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of men was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. And it grieved the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the earth, for it grieveth me that I have made them. The rulers of the collective decided it was time to put their foot down. The Ankh of earth were too proud of themselves and their accomplishments. They had begun to disobey collective procedures and requests. It was almost to the point that rebellion against the central authority of the collective order must be restored to the earth and firm control of the political situation regained. So the collective delegation sent Satan and the rest of the Ankh factions on earth a list of orders to be carried out immediately. Most were simple rules and directives designed to reestablish firmer control by the council. But there was one directive which caused Satan and his followers to become enraged. The council had ordered all Elohims to be destroyed, and all those Ankh who had been intimate with them to be removed from earth service and redeployed throughout the collective. Satan gathered all the leaders from the Ankh together for a special meeting. He showed them the orders demanding the destruction of their Elohims. The Ankh were outraged, not so much out of concern over Elohim's welfare, but more so at the loss of valuable assets. Then Satan put forth a proposal. He said that they should not obey the collective and that they form a separate authority here on earth. Thus began the rebellion. This is a very complex and important time, so I should expand on certain points before continuing. The events that are about to transpire led to a civil war among the collective. It is not the first, but it is the largest and bloodiest. It is important that you understand which side was which. Satan's power over the various family factions that were here on the earth had grown enormously. When news spread of his decision, the various family members here on earth and throughout the solar system had to choose between staying loyal to their main family back home and the collective, or side with those families on earth and form a separate collective based around earth. Not all of the Ankh here sided with Satan, but it was pretty close. Nearly all of the space-borne operations went to his side, including the orbital bases and transport services. These were key assets for him, and it was no accident that most of those in charge of these assets were either his own family or handpicked from their loyalty to him. The end result was a powerful strategic advance. It gave him control of all the solar system and effectively isolated those factions who chose to stay loyal to the collective. In all, over 2/3 of the forces throughout the Earth zone chose to side with Satan. They had